Have you ever had one of those days at the office where you look at other people who are in a leadership role and you feel like, wow, they have it all figured out. They're successful. They have authority. They know what success is all about. And what about yourself? Have you also ever wondered if these are maybe just stories, just mental constructs you have and not necessarily the reality? But let me tell you a little story about it. As a teenager growing up in the beautiful town of Zermatt, I was sometimes helping out my mom in her cafe. So I would wait the tables, I would take orders, make drinks, etc. And I quite enjoyed it because I got to work with a lot of different people. I vividly remember one of the customers that came at least twice a week. She was an elderly lady. She only spoke French. And basically we had no idea who she was. We didn't even know her name. So I would usually serve her some coffee, maybe just have a bit of a chit chat with her, and that's it. No idea where she came from, where she went, who she was. One day as I left home, I saw her from far away and she seemed to be carrying some luggage. And so I thought, well, it's my day off. I might as well go and help her. So I went over and I offered her some help. And I said that I could carry her luggage. She thanked me with a smile and she said, well, would you be so kind and help me carry the suitcase all the way to the train station? And sure, I thought, why not? The train station isn't too far away. I can do that. So I took the suitcase into my hand, and to my surprise, it seemed that the suitcase was empty. I expected to take the suitcase and have a heavy piece of luggage in my hand, but it seemed to simply be empty because it didn't weigh anything. It just seemed to be like an empty shelf. At that moment, I didn't know how to react, and so I just looked over at that lady and she simply smiled at me. So I thought, well, it's not up to me to judge that situation or to question her motivation and her decision. So I just carried on. I walked with her all the way to the train station. She got on the train and then basically I just waved her goodbye. The train left and then I just had a good laugh and I just couldn't stop thinking about this empty suitcase, or apparently empty suitcase. And the reason is that all these years that she used to come to the cafe, I thought of her as this grand old lady. So seeing her on the street with this suitcase, I was sure that the suitcase must be filled with expensive perfumes, with jewelry, with fancy clothes. And in the end, it turns out that it's empty. And well, I just had a good laugh, but I also thought, well, what do I know? I have no idea who she is or what her story is. So again, it's not up to me to judge that. And I think the same thing happens every day in life, and especially also at work. It's easy to project onto other people. It's easy to see a platinum card or a role or a success or a bonus and believe that, wow, this must be so fulfilling and the person must have worked so hard and no way I can ever achieve the same thing. When in fact, all of these things are very similar to the story I told you. It's just, they are also just an empty suitcase. What's behind that platinum card? What's behind the luxury car? What's behind that expensive handbag? No idea. Does it really matter to you? What needs to matter to you is that you recognize that these are stories and projections, and they are based on your own experience, on things you make up, and sometimes maybe only on random facts that may not even be true. And once you recognize that, you can also let go of these stories, and that can help you lead with a sense of ease, with peace of mind, and also with a sense of agency. Once you know you don't need to compare yourself anymore, once you know that it's not about bettering yourself or trying to change yourself, once you see that the stories in your mind are nothing more than that empty suitcase, something you can fill with your imagination, and in that sense also something you can decide to let go of.